All right, hoping everyone can see the screen that says welcome to Live at Lunch with Vivian Evans. I've got a special guest today, Wendy Demerick, and Wendy and I have had a fantastic experience sharing and collaborating together to build an amazing, I'm excited, a website that's all focused on thriving through menopause. But what we spoke about and our experience has been quite interesting in that we've never actually met face to face. We've built up this amazing friendship through our collaboration. We were introduced by somebody else, Diana Jacobson, who runs Shine at Business, and she had met us both independently and felt we were a potential match for reaching the goals that Wendy wanted for her business. And so since then, we've been working. It's been a few months now. We've connected lots of hours live online and through communication. And what's been exciting for me is what I've learnt on my journey through my collaboration with Wendy. It's been a real give and take in so many ways, just been a learning for both of us. So what we want to share today is some key tips for collaborating, which helps for growing business. And Wendy in particular has done a lot of collaboration. So that's why she's going to be the main presenter today, but we'll be chatting and you're welcome to ask questions in the text chat as well. And so Wendy is linking in via phone because today her computer had a meltdown. We think it might be a virus. We're not sure, but thankfully we can do more than one way of communicating and connecting in. So what we've got are three essentials that we're going to consider today and discuss. And the first one is, what is the spirit of collaboration? So let me hand over the microphone to Wendy Demerick from the Radiant Woman book website and also for the Natural Woman Network. Wendy, welcome.
Hello, Viv, and thank you for having me, and greetings to the people that are on this call and who will be on it, the recording afterwards, because we know that happens a lot too. So I've had a bit more of a think about the spirit of collaboration since our discussion, Viv.
And we were quite involved with that discussion, weren't we?
Because it can be a hard concept to define for a lot of people. So there's been a negative connotation to collaboration in the past when during war situations collaborators were shot. And that's a very different definition of collaboration. So what we're looking at is the actual dictionary definition of collaboration is working jointly together for something, particularly an artistic or creative endeavour, but not necessarily. And I like to extrapolate a bit on that and look at more about the spirit of collaboration, or the full intent of collaboration, and what that can mean to people in their business and their lives. And so for over 30 years now, I've had worked with the spirit and intent of collaboration with people, because I've been a health practitioner for a very long time, but I'm also a business graduate, and I still do quite a bit of consulting for small businesses and solopreneurs around helping to develop their mission and vision and achieve their goals from a place of passion and values and mission. So it's, it's on the health level, but it's still on that level as well. And I've found, regardless of whether it's health or whether it's your business, well, you can't really separate the two. You don't have a business without your health. collaboration is really important. And so very early on, especially in my clinical practice many years ago in Victoria, where I had a very busy practice, I started immediately collaborating with other practitioners in the area, especially GPs and obstetrics, gynaes and so on, because I was working a lot in women's health.
Mm-hmm.
And that led to absolutely wonderful team approach for my patients in that, you know, we had a good stable of practitioners, from medical practitioners and myself and other types of practitioners who we worked together as a team, and that had best outcomes for patients, what I call patient-centred outcomes. And I'm starting to build that where I am now in New South Wales as well. So that was probably my first really good experience of collaboration, where I approached people and said, hey, I do this, you do this, how can we raise each other and also get the, you know, the best outcomes for our patients instead of patients having ad hoc treatments from people. Yeah. So I've found that over a period of time, that what I call the spirit of collaboration, where you're actually working with other people to help raise the people that you're working with. And when I say raise, I mean bring them up to their optimum level and help contribute to their success. Yeah. So that's my definition of collaboration. So it's not necessarily a direct exchange of services and money. It might be that, but it's really about the intent. And that's where, you know, understanding such things as the law of reciprocity is very important. So that's how I, after our discussion, Viv, which got very involved, that's how I tend to define collaboration, in the sense of what we're doing with our work and our health and our lives. And for many, many years, I've had lots of collaborative situations with other businesses that have been just amazing for both of us. I've also had experiences with, I get approached frequently by people wanting to collaborate. They just don't know that's what it is. And they might say, you know, can we do this together or that? But what it often ends up is they want you to do something for them and they aren't prepared to do anything for you. So you have to be really careful with this and maintain a very strong space around and be very targeted in the people you speak with. So that's my view of what the intent and the spirit of collaboration is.
So what about the examples of how, some examples of how, you know, you've spoke about in the clinic. What about with other businesses? What are some other examples of collaboration that businesses, you know, people in business, particularly in small business, because we've got mostly an audience of women who work independently with their own business. And so what is it that you've done, are some examples with other?
Well, some examples is, until last year, I also had another business, a women's products business called RadPads. And I had that for about 10 years, and that was a really good way of adding value to my other work. And we went all over Australia, and one of the things that I initiated with a group of other eco businesses was that we share space at some of the bigger exhibitions and expos we went to, because they're very expensive. And in sharing that space, we had an agreement that we would share the space equally. We would help each other. You know, if someone wanted to go to lunch or, you know, were busy with someone else, the other person agreed to learn enough about each other's business so that we could talk to customers while they were waiting. And that worked really well with a number of different businesses, and it helped reduce our costs. It added so much enjoyment to the events, and we got to know each other's customers and were able to add value to them as well. So there's a number of people that I still have associations with, even though I've now passed RadPads on to the next owner. That was a terrific collaboration. And I also had an online affiliate program, probably I think one of the first in Australia to do this, where we rewarded people because a lot of our business came from word of mouth.
Yes.
So we were able to reward people in a really collaborative way by giving them a financial reward for their referral, which we so much appreciated. And it's the same with the Natural Woman Network online school, which I think you're going to put the website up at the end of these slides. We have an affiliate program for that as well, for the same reasons, because really word of mouth's always been the best way.
Yes.
So that's one example. Another is you're live at lunch. You know, that's a terrific collaboration where you've got lots of great people giving fantastic value to your business through this, and they're getting exposure, and you get a lot of enjoyment out of that.
That's right. And it makes my presentations more interesting. It's lovely to have guests. So Diane, who's one of the participants here, she's been my guest. We've had a real mix of people, and then they get to keep and use the video that we record. It helps promote us both in ways that we can utilise the resource that we've created together. But it's all been done at no price for anyone other than time and contribution.
That's right. And in the spirit of collaboration, I've passed a free gift ebook to Viv to give to you, which we won't go into what that's about at the moment, but just give you a few more little ideas about this topic. So at the end of this presentation, you'll get, Viv will tell you about the link, because my thing in life and business is to always over-exceed what people expect. And I think if we always have this attitude of just giving that little bit more, it's amazing what can happen. And that you know, law of reciprocity involved in the collaborative effort, I think is really important. But it's really important also, you know, the second point that we were going to discuss flows into this. If you want, have you finished the first point?
I think so. We've got the idea of affiliates and joint partnerships. So and then
and there's lots of different ways. There's lots and lots of different ways to go about that. But what I've learnt over many years is to actually have a strategic way of speaking with people when you first meet, if you're approached to collaborate or you want to collaborate with them. Because I think one of the important things in life and in business is first to do no harm, and that's drummed into us as health practitioners, of course. And you can do a lot of harm to yourself and to others if you're not really clear about the intent of who you want to collaborate with. So often I'm asked, well, like, how do I know who to collaborate with? You know, how do I know who the right people are? Have you thought about that, Viv?
Yeah, well, I mean, certainly in our case, we hadn't met in person, and still haven't, and yet we've still got this connection. So it was a whole big discussion at the start. I've committed my time for a considerable amount of time with this opportunity through people coming to this brilliant course. It's so exciting to be a part of it. But so it's a challenge, because it's all about who you're connecting with and what you can both give each other. So, you know, you said about lifting each other up. So there was certainly that. So, I must admit, I've worked a lot with people, and when we discussed, you know, leading up to this event, you talked about some key questions, and I think for me, I'll find a lot of benefit from the questions that you asked, because it's not something that I have thought of previously.
Yes. Well, I think, you know, one of the key questions that I ask people at the start is, you know, what have you really rocked at? You know, what have you really, you know, tell me something that you've really felt proud of achieving. You know, it doesn't have to be to do with work, because I want to get a bit of an idea of someone's stickability, what I call stickability, meaning can they actually stick to their word or are they going to lose traction halfway through? And so you can find out a lot about someone's character in that way. And it's not a judgment thing. It's not like, well, you know, if they haven't achieved anything that has meant they've had to really stick at something, it doesn't mean you're saying, oh, you're no good or anything. It's just saying, great person might not be the best person to collaborate with on this project, because it'd be a bit of a disaster if it stopped halfway through. So that's something, you know, I like to find out from people what they're really proud of. And another thing, you know, I like to find out what they really rock at as far as their skills go, because I tend to collaborate with people who have skills and experience that I either don't have myself, or in your case, you know, when we were discussing it, you've got your background in online teaching and online courses and webinars and so on, yes, which is fantastic. I could have learnt the site and everything I needed for what we were doing, but I know it's best for me to focus on the content, and that's why, you know, we collaborated together, because you were also wanting to learn more about that site. So it worked. We both got a lot out of that. So I know that you've got stickability because of some of the questions I asked you.
Yeah. Okay. And it also brought the whole event, you know, the finished product so much earlier. In fact, you know, with editing and doing final pieces, and as we were both learning this particular program that we launched on, it did spread out a little bit more. But if we had have done it, and it was so good to be able to bounce off each other, what you saw, what I could see, editing, content, and the huge amount of work that, well, not huge, but quite a good amount. It's just like writing a book, really, building a whole course. There's a whole lot to it. There's lots of resources that need to be in place. And by doing it together rather than solo, and I know that you would have all the skills, Wendy, to do it, but it just by collaborating, it just made that so much quicker, and perhaps, I don't know if you'd say the word comfortable, but you're more confident in the end product because
absolutely
it's brought together.
Yes.
Yeah. And we weren't the only collaborators.
No, we had other collaborators. So we have guest speakers on this course who bring in their own skills to add value, and as a result they get global exposure for that, because this is a global reach program that we've done with the Natural Woman Network course. And I think I felt more confident that you were at the controls of the webinar side of things, so I could just blurt my spiel out. And now, interestingly enough, you mentioned, you know, this Thrive Through Menopause, what is actually my third book, and I was about a third of the way through it.
Right.
And then I realised, I think this has to be an online course, because it's going to be a lot more accessible to a lot of people. And I have on the menopause page, a global following of women. So, which it's a bit harder for some of them to get a book. So that book then morphed into this course, and, you know, that's why I decided to focus on the content rather than the technical side of things. That's where you came in. So I think, you know, it's also very important. It depends what sort of collaboration you're doing. So if, for example, someone wants to collaborate with you and have you write articles for their blog or their site or their social media page and so on, it's pretty important to make sure they've actually got an active following and that they're active in promotions and so on, because there are a lot of people who do a lot of good stuff, but they never really put it out there. So you've got to watch that sort of thing as well. And what their market reach is. So it just depends. Like with you, that wasn't the focus. But if it was someone else, I might say, oh, well, that's probably not a good way of spending my time at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and their expertise status, you know, I think it's a very good idea to speak to some people who they've worked with before.
Yes.
So, you know, ask for a couple of people who they've worked with and collaborated with or worked for if they're an employee and just starting out, so that you can just have a few minutes chat with a reliable reference.
Yes.
To get a bit of an idea of the integrity and the authenticity and the stickability of someone.
Yeah.
That's pretty important.
Yeah.
And you also, if you're going to collaborate with someone, choose someone who you have similar values and expectations. So there's lots of other things, but we don't want to go into too many now. It'll be overload. But they're what I consider, you know, I have a set list of about half a dozen questions, and the first question is the most important. And a lot of people don't get past the first question, and that is, you know, what have you done that you really rock at? And tell me about that, and how long did it take? And, you know, and I'm very happy to tell people that from my point of view, it's a joint thing. It's not about, you know, me making all the decisions. They might decide I'm not the best person too. So does that answer that question, that second question enough?
And then the third question we had was what to put in place before you begin to collaborate. So how do you put in, some sort of an agreement? What is it that you do?
And that I find to be a matter of, I work a lot intuitively, so that tends to stand me in good stead. But it's also a matter of exchanging intent. So that can be verbal or it can be written. With us, it was verbal because we both had the feeling, you know, we could see straight away that we're task-oriented and we completed other projects and things like that. And they were both very interested in this project. But there's not many people I would just have a verbal agreement with like that. Usually it might be something as simple as a exchange of emails stating, okay, you know, the conclusions that you reach in your discussion, we agreed to this, this and this. And you know, is this your intent or is it different? So you're really making sure that you're on the same page about intent.
Yes.
Or you can go like with RADPADS and Natural Woman Network. I had a lot of women working with us throughout Australia and some in New Zealand and other parts who became our facilitators because they were very interested in having the products as well as the events, women's health events, in their local area. And you know, they got a financial reward for everything that happened. So they became collaborators, and to do that properly so that everyone felt comfortable, I actually ended up having to pay a lot of money for a lawyer and to get a good facilitator agreement up and going. So they're two ends of the spectrum. It just depends how much time and money's involved in the project, the level of trust.
Yes.
And, you know, if you're newy, your spirit says, don't go there, just don't go there. Just don't argue with it. I've done that a few times. I've made a few what I call learning experiences. So you might share a document and it might be just, this is what we've agreed to, this is the time frame, this is the intent, this is what I'll do, this is what you'll do. And it basically becomes a statement of intention.
Yes. And then,
or a formal contract.
I think it evolves too, like, so you have something in the first place, but it can grow, I mean, as the project does. So you've got an idea of what you want as an outcome, but how we did it, we grew it more with more videos, for example, because we could see some real value in engaging with some other people. So I suppose as in anything, it's communication. And
that's right. And even in that statement of intention, you can say, and, you know, other inclusions if we both agree to it. You know, so yes, communication, once again, as you say, is really, really important because, you know, something that I find extremely perturbing about the way people do business and order their life these days is the extremely poor communication that's developed. And I think, so I actually have a bit of a rule of thumb. If I send someone an email about something, to do with business, not necessarily patients or clients, but to do with the collaboration, and they've received the email but don't get back to me, I don't work with them. Because if you can't communicate well, and that means clearly and concisely and quickly,
yes,
within a day or two, then it's just not going to work from my point of view. That might be very different to someone else who's looser with time, but I don't know about you. My time is very structured. And I have my clinic time, I have my online consulting time that I either do for business or for health, and I have my creative time. So I'm very focused, and if someone doesn't get back to me reasonably quickly, they're either not interested, or they're not good at communication, or they're not good at structuring their times. Either way, they might be wonderful people, but I don't want to work with them.
Yeah. So that sort of comes back to that question too. How do you determine the right person? It's part of that, that initial communication, how you connect, and
Yes.
Yeah.
And look, if you're starting to collaborate more, if it's a new concept for you, you're going to have what I call learning experience. It's like I've had a number of experiences over the years where I've contracted with people, like groups of people, to run online entrepreneurship development stuff, and I've done it for a special price because I'm trying out a new program I'm doing, and I've put down the statement of what that involves, what their intention and what their responsibilities are, what mine are, and asked very clearly for these outcomes, and they haven't been met by the other party. They haven't given back their responsibilities, and I just have had to say, well, okay, I mean, this is actually an agreement, a written agreement. That was the wrong thing to do, because that demographic were probably never going to, give that back. So you take that back on yourself and you say, well, okay, I've learnt from that. I won't work with that sort of demographic again. Rather than getting into blame or anything like that. It's just a learning curve.
Yes. Yeah. And perhaps doing something smaller as a collaboration, it could be some way if you're stepping into that realm as well. So
yes, yeah. And collaboration can mean so many different things to so many people. So I think it's important to have the spirit of collaboration discussed right at the start. What does it mean for the other person? What does it mean for you? And I think one of the most important things that can come from that is integrity and authenticity and honesty.
Yes. Yeah. And you can have a fantastic outcome for both of you in so many ways, because I've certainly learned a lot. All right, our Live at Lunch time is ticking away, so I might share some of what we've got. So through the naturalwomannetwork.thinkific.com, we have the courses that Wendy and I have built together. So there's 3 of those, and that link will take you, and I'll pop them all in the text chat so that you can get to those. And so that's the product of our creation of working and collaborating together over 3 months. And then the gift that Wendy's offering, and what's exciting is today's our 21st Live at Lunch. So in the spirit of celebrating our 21st, we have a free e-gift, which now I've got a picture of the book here that Wendy's got. It's Enterprise with Soul, and there's actually a link to her website, radiantwomenbook.com, and you can look for the shop if you want to actually purchase it. But we're giving you a section, or Wendy is sharing a section of that relates to inclusive marketing. So it's about collaborating. So so thank you so much, Wendy, for helping me celebrate the 21st.
It's a pleasure.
Lunch.
Yes, you've come of age. Congratulations.
Yes.
You probably get the key to Coonabarra brand now.
Well, I think I've actually got the key to collaborating through this process. Really.
Oh, yes.
It's been a great journey, and still is, because I have learned so much. along the way.
I've really enjoyed it too, and I wouldn't hesitate to recommend you to someone else for that reason. So,
Thank you. And that's something, the realm I'm stepping into, supporting people with delivering live online courses and events. So that's a lot of fun that we can work with.
Yeah. And maybe if anyone's got any questions of me, if you put my email in the chat box,
okay.
info@radiant-women.com. I'm happy to answer any further questions, and I'd just like to encourage all the people on this call and all the lots of people who will hear it later to think holistically with their business. You know, it's not just about going to your work and doing that. It's about how it merges in with your life and your values and so on. And collaboration is a big part of that.
And just adds a wealth. I think you can live in abundance in many ways, and collaborating certainly makes your life more abundant, I feel. Certainly that's my experience, and especially, positive for both. It's fantastic. That's been my experience so far. Yeah. It's great. Now, next week for Live at Lunch, we've got Writing Your Business Story. So we have Sheridan Morris going to help you with whatever you've chosen your business in. You must have a passion for that. So she's going to take us through some steps with that. So another fabulous collaboration, so with Sheridan Morris. And we have, if at any time, you can look for other live events at vivianevans.com.au. Look for the live events if you want to look at courses, and you will see links to the Natural Woman Network from there. And in the future, we'll have more courses, because I'm building some with some other people, some other business women that we'll come up with. We'll have some more resources there for you to explore. So thank you so much for joining us. Many thanks to my special guest today for Live at Lunch, Wendy Demerick from the Natural Woman Network. And many thanks for everyone who joined in live and for those watching online. It's a fantastic way to collaborate and to learn from each other. Have a brilliant week. From Vivian Evans. Join me for our next Live at Lunch. Check out vivianevans.com.au.